Hey, welcome back to the Jason Hanish Leadership Lifter, where we're lifting the lid of leadership in the local church. Many leaders are obsessed with finding the right system, program, or opportunity, but the best leaders are obsessed with empowering the right people. Today, we're going to talk about delegation and the most common barriers that we experience when empowering people. The title is Stop Trying to Do It All, the 5 Levels of Delegation. When leaders try to do it all, I think there's a misunderstanding that, they don't have an understanding of their gifts, their identity, or their abilities. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 tells us that we are God's masterpiece, that we are created anew in Christ Jesus so we can do the good things he planned for us long ago. When leaders don't understand their design, how God created them, I feel like they're all over the place. They don't know who they are, not just in identity, but in giftings and in strength. So I'm talking about like self-awareness here. I think self-awareness is so important for us to channel our energy in the areas that we are most successful and most gifted.
Yeah, one of the most difficult transitions for a leader to make is that transition from doing to leading.
That's right. Doing to leading. Yeah, because that's the tension here of delegation. Because when you work outside of your area of giftedness, there's 2 people that suffer. You and the person that should be doing it.
That's right.
That's who's suffering. Because no one wants to be doing, like, I don't want to be like in an area of a task or an assignment that I know I'm not made for. That just doesn't feel good. But not only am I suffering, someone in the body of Christ was designed and gifted and fits perfectly in the body of Christ to do that role.
That's right.
A successful person is going to find the right place for himself. But a successful leader finds the right place for others. That's the difference between the doing and the delegating, the doing and the leading. But I think there's a lot of leaders who are like hungry. They desire to grow and get better. So what they end up doing because of this hunger is they become the jack of all trades. And we see that a lot, especially in young leaders, man. And they want to be proficient and good at a lot of things, be able to speak to a lot of things. But there are 2 very, very important rules to understand. One is the less you do, the more you can actually accomplish. And the second one is like it. The less you do, the more you enable others to do. It's counterintuitive, but you have to buy into this in order to be an effective leader.
Do you feel like people fall into that trap because they like the accolades that come from being able to do a lot?
Partly, I think there's ego that they're feeding. Maybe like they want to be, the guy
who knows it all. I know it all.
The go-to. Or a lot of them, there's a good intention, like they want to succeed.
Yeah.
They want to make a difference. They want to add value. And there's a place for that, absolutely. And we all should be flexible enough to do whatever outside of our comfort zone. But when we're talking about leadership and identifying my sweet spot, I need to also be able to identify where I'm not gifted and strong and where others are gifted. Because the less I do, the more I can accomplish in the areas of my strengths and giftedness. Right. I can let go of a few things so I can be better at the things that I'm actually called to do. And when I do that, the less I do, the more others can actually do the things that I was just doing by default, thinking that it needed to get done. I think there's this myth that leaders need to be good at everything. Maybe pastors get this a lot as well. As a pastor, you feel like you have to be good at everything. You got to be a good administrator, communicator, storyteller, social media expert.
You
got to be good.
Today you do.
You do. Right? Kind of. There is this idea that you do have to be good. And while, again, be proficient, to learn, to stretch yourself, to grow, do it. And we need to be doing that. But we can't fall into the trap of trying to grind our growth so much that we're not identifying the people around us that can actually come alongside and help us.
That's when
help the body of Christ.
Yeah, that's when doing it all actually keeps you from being great at what you were called to be great at.
That's it. Yeah. And it actually diminishes how much energy I can focus in the areas that God has actually called me. And there's someone around me that actually is called to do that I'm overlooking because I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm just trying to be a jack of all trades. So of all the things that that maybe you're juggling today, all the things that you're like in your responsibility you got in the air, what are those balls in the air that you alone are supposed to be juggling? What are the only ones that you're supposed to keep in the air? You got to keep that in the air. If you don't keep that in the air, that's you, man. That's what you're called to do, is to keep that thing moving, keep it in the air. I think what we do have to do as leaders is identify what are the ones, those balls that we need to keep in the air, and then let all the other balls fall to the ground.
Yep.
And that's hard. It's really hard to like see the ball get dropped. Literally, like the ball dropped. It's like, and as leaders, we don't want the ball to drop, right? And I know there's a tension here, because I can even feel it in myself and everyone listening right now. It's like, but I can't. Like, that can't drop.
Yep.
And it can't. Like, I get it. There's a lot of things that maybe you're doing that you shouldn't be doing and you shouldn't have been doing for a long time. And I get they can't drop. But that's where today, what we're talking about. That's where effective delegation
and you're not saying forget about it, but you're making the point of stop holding on to that and delegate that.
Yeah, and you have to. So let's talk about some barriers to delegation first. Before we jump into like the when and the how and stuff, let's talk about the barriers, like the tension we all experience.
Why we don't want to delegate.
Why do we do it? So let me give you a few. I got 4 of them, okay? I think some of us just think it's easier to do it ourselves. We may even say we tell ourselves or others, it's just easier to do it myself. What can take me 5 minutes is going to take them a day. You know what I mean? And so we're not thinking of the long-term benefits. We have this myopic short-term leadership thinking that, I'll just get it done right now instead of thinking about these long-term benefits. So listen, leader, you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have both.
That's right.
So if you continue to control it all and try to hold everything in your hands and keep all the balls in the air, you're going to have control, sure, but you're not going to have growth.
That's right. And there's so many things vying for our attention right now. And I think that psychologically, we're seeing that when you get distracted by something and maybe you're doing a task that only takes you 5 minutes, it can really set you back 30 minutes.
Right.
So that 5 minutes compounded over a year, how much time are you losing? Just because you're a master at it. Well, I'm the master at it.
Because I can just get it done. Come on. No, be a leader. Okay. Here's the second barrier, where we think that others are not competent enough, that I don't have the right skill set around me, the right competency around me. So the question is, like, how do you know when someone is ready? Like, when do you delegate then? I think that the best time to delegate, when someone is 80%, like able to do it at 80%, the capacity that you're able to do it, it's time to delegate it. Get rid of it. If they can do it 80%, what are you still doing holding on to that? Give it to them, let them get better, hand it off, okay? Now, that's if they can do it at 80%. If they have the potential to do it at 80%. So they're not there yet, but you know that this person has potential to be at 80%. Don't delegate it, develop it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay?
And most of us have had a bad delegation experience because we didn't do it well. So maybe they were at 80%, or maybe they could have done it better than me, but I didn't follow through. I wasn't involved, or maybe I was too involved in the process. And then, we throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's like delegation doesn't work, but it was me as the leader.
It's the process. It's how we delegated. I think that the success of a leader, it's not how much power you have, and because you have power, it's your ability to empower others that really makes a successful leader. So it's not what we can hold on to and how much you got to be able to give it away. The third barrier is where we get into this mindset that, hey, this stuff no one really wants to do. Maybe it's some behind the scenes stuff, it's some admin stuff. And here's where we make the mistake that other people hate what I hate. You know what I mean? So I don't like this. Therefore, no one is going to like this. So I just have to bear this cross. And we're like the martyr, right? I'm just going to bear this cross for my team, for my staff, for others. I'm not going to make anyone else do this or ask anyone else to do this, because who would want to do this? So we feel guilty making an ask because we don't see value in the task. And this is where I think we don't connect the vision to what we're doing, the why of what we're doing. It might be a small task, but we don't see the importance or value. And because we don't, we end up just doing it and not giving it away to someone actually can see vision and value in it.
Effective delegation starts with why and inspiration. And you're right, when we are viewing these things as less than, which can very easily happen in ministry. You're the worship leader walking in the room and you're doing everything. And so it really is a task and a chore, but it shouldn't be.
No, there's so much stuff that, I mean, you may be setting up, you may be agendizing, you may be, putting the mics in order, turning the mics on, soundboard on, whatever those things are. You're like, I'll just do all these things. And I know we got a team to do all that, but I'll just do these and I'll just get everything set up. So when the team comes, they're just ready. Great. Someone needs to do that, but is it you?
Yep.
Is that or are you overlooking, is this a barrier to delegation? Because you think that this is a menial thing that you'll just do, that you're overlooking an opportunity to develop and delegate to somebody else. Yep. Okay, the fourth barrier is the most common, I think. If you want something done right, just do it yourself, all right? It's this pride or ego mindset. Look, if you have to do it yourself, you're not the leader. Mm-hmm. You're losing. And I want that to sink in, okay? If you have to do it yourself, you're not leading, you're losing. Leaders develop others to do it. That's what makes you a leader, all right? Leaders don't work on the task, they work on the people. Yep. So when delegation goes wrong, and it often does, we kind of identified a few of them, but let's kind of dig in. I think there's 3 primary reasons why they go wrong. And I think they're all connected, but unique in their own. The first reason, though, has to do with clarity. Mm-hmm. The clarity of outcomes, right? Where we haven't put the thought time in to the task or the assignment that we're delegating. So we don't even really know the outcome or the win, but we're handing it off.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So it sits on somebody else to figure out, and then we get frustrated at them.
Well, they're confused.
And they're confused.
They don't know what they're doing.
They're gun shy. They're not going to start it. They're not going to, because they don't know where they're going or what they're doing or what we want. So a lot of times when delegation goes wrong or awry, it's because we just didn't have a clear why or understanding or a win or the outcomes that we wanted in that assignment.
I think a great question to ask once you've delegated something to someone is to sit down and maybe ask them 2 questions. How involved would you like me to be in this? Uh-huh. And are there any areas where I've been too involved?
That's good.
Just, hey, because sometimes they might go, honestly, you left me dry. You left me and I was alone and I didn't know what I was doing. So, but then the opposite is we're too involved in the process and we're not letting go. Maybe because of ego, like what you were saying.
Yeah. I think there is quite a few reasons why that within that delegation experience, between the person we're delegating and the leader, why there's not good, where there's a missed expectation. And it does have to do with clarity. It really does have to do with the clarity of the level of delegation this is. But another barrier, I think, is where not only is there clarity of the win, it's not identified, but you assume the work would get done without monitoring and measuring along the way. So we just delegated, we set it and forget it. We're just like, okay, I'm just going to give it to them. Instead of like what we need to do when you're delegating, you got to set checkpoints of when you're going to monitor and measure.
Yeah.
So what are the measurements? So that's the outcome stuff. There's clarity. But hey, let's meet back on this next week at this time to check this.
Yeah.
Let's meet back. Let's set next month at this time. You have to set those checkpoints if you're not going to monitor it. So trust somebody, but trust and review. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can delegate the responsibility, but you can't delegate the accountability.
Yeah. Schedule it.
Schedule it out.
And be like, hey, let's talk tomorrow, or let's talk in a week. Let's see how it's going,
If you're the leader and you're going to delegate, which you should delegate and empower and develop people, you cannot delegate the accountability though, because ultimately your pastor or the department lead that's actually over you, like you're going to be held responsible and accountable for that getting done or not. So when you delegate, you can't forget it. You still have to assume accountability that is going to get done.
Yeah. Delegation's not passing the buck.
It's not.
Or shirking responsibility.
Or I call it look out below. You know what I mean? It's like you're up here and you're just like dropping something. Look out below.
Yep. You got it.
You got it. Watch out there. Yeah. That's not delegation.
And we want to inspire ownership. We want people to own it. And I think that's why we talked about casting vision. And so we want ownership because we want them to take responsibility, but that doesn't mean that we're not responsible for the outcome as the leader.
Yeah. And you do want to give them the authority and responsibility at times. There's levels of that, and we'll talk about that. But that doesn't mean you're abdicating accountability for the assignment that you've delegated. So the third barrier is you failed to clarify the level of authority. And that's like connected to all this we're talking about
here.
What's
that look like practically?
Yes. So I think there is, and this is going to help you in your teams. I think you should share this. There's 5 levels of delegation. If you can actually get clarity between the person who you're delegating to and the delegator on the level of delegation, meaning what am I asking you to do and how
involved
much
are they?
authority do you have in this and how involved, that's going to solve so much of the problems of delegation. You have to identify the level of authority in the delegation. So I think there's 5. There are 5 levels of delegation. Let me give them to you. We'll explain them a little bit and how they can help. Level 1 is where basically it doesn't sound good, but it's do as I say. And there, let's be honest, there's some delegation that we're like, this is what you're gonna please do this. You know, you can say it nice as you want, but it's do as I say.
At the end of the day, there's a very real way to do that.
It means you do exactly what I've asked you to do. Don't deviate from my instructions. Okay. I've already researched it. We've already developed this. This is like, and so there is a level of delegation where it is just like, here, do this. It's level 1. Not all of our delegation can be level 1, but it is a reality of here, this is a level 1 assignment.
Run the play.
It works. Okay. Then there is level 2, which is research and report. Level 2 delegation. It means you can, hey, research this topic, gather the information, and I want you to come back and report to me what like you've discovered. We're going to discuss it, but then I'm going to make a decision and let you know what decision I made. So there's level 2, like just, hey, I'm asking you to do some research for me, gather all the data, come back, let me know, and then I'll make an informed decision. Okay, that's level 2. That's a great level of authority or delegation that you can give to someone who's new into leadership, that doesn't have a lot of breadth of understanding and information in the assignment or the field or that task area. Go assign them. They're going to learn a lot by the research and gathering information and then submit it back to you. The next step beyond that, level 3, is research and recommend. So a little bit different, obviously, from research and report. This is now someone who has a little bit more experience.
Yeah, you're giving them some weight in the decision.
You're giving them. But here's where you got it. There's the fine line here between research and report and research and recommend. When someone's at a level 3 delegation, that means that there's enough trust in this person that by getting the information, they can actually recommend a direction. Be careful on this, that they're at the right level of leadership for this one, because once you give them that authority that they can recommend, they're going to choose 2 or 3 and bring to you, like, here's what the pros, the cons. Ask them, I want you to give me a few options, give me some pros and cons. You are going to limit a lot of the other research to their understanding and preference. If you trust their understanding and their preference, meaning they have to have experience in leadership and experience in the assignment of the field, go ahead and give them level 3. Research and recommend. I trust that you can wade through it all and give me pros and cons on what you see as the best.
Is this something that can happen in the middle of delegation? So let's say you've delegated to someone a project or task, and they've been doing it for a while. And now is it, when you say research and recommend, is it the type of thing where you could step in and say, how's that going? How would you improve that? Do you feel like they could scale through it in the actual task?
I think so. I think you can, but I think that where this is going to be the most effective for you as a leader is identifying at the onset of delegation what level of delegation this is. So when you can work on the language of this and the understanding, tell your entire team there's 5 levels of delegation here in this organization on this team. And when you are giving someone an assignment, you let them know, hey, this is a level 2. I want you to research and then just report back to me. Or tell them, hey, this is a level 3. I want you to do the research and then recommend your top 2 or 3 with the pros and cons. So when you can give them that level of understanding and clarity, now they're able to run, man. They're able to be, they're truly empowered now to do what you've asked them to do, and you're going to get a better result because of it. Level 4 is decide and inform. Now we're saying this means you make a decision. And then just tell me what you did. I'd like to be kept in the loop here. I trust you to do the research to make the best decision you can, but keep me in the loop. I don't want to be surprised by someone else what decision you made. Just so make sure when you make a decision, let me know. Circle back to me. I'm the first person you should know. That's level 4 delegation. So you make the decision and just inform me. Okay. The highest level 5, is act independently. It's the highest level of delegation where you say, you know what? I think you have whatever it takes to make the best decision. Go for it. No need to report back. I trust you completely. I know you're going to follow through. You have my support. So you go ahead and make the decision and let me know how I can support you in fulfilling this.
Wow.
Okay. That's the highest level. And you just got to know the level of authority that people have, the experience, the leadership, the wisdom, and in the area of assignment and task you're giving them. Can you imagine if your team had clarity at what level it's going to set them free? Because you got to remember, your team members are not mind readers. They're going to bring their own experiences, their own bias, their own energy to work every day. But in the absence of clear expectations, they're going to take whatever action they think is best.
This type of clarity is a game changer for staff members. I mean, knowing how far you can go. Nobody likes, working at something only to find out that they weren't the decision maker. Maybe they felt like they were.
Yes.
And then, next time they are gun shy and they go into and go, they're not going to listen to me anyways. But to have this on the onset and say, no, I want you to come back and make a decision.
Right.
These are very different levels, and I'm almost seeing different types of people.
Yeah.
And so level 4 and 5 seem to be reserved for people who have proven themselves to an extent.
Absolutely. I think so. I think you want to reserve those for people who are proven or experienced.
Excellent.
They do. You trust their leadership and don't throw someone into level 4 and level 5 if they're not ready for it. If they don't have, you got to develop them there. So delegation is a form of development. When you are developing someone at level 1, 2, and 3, and you're giving them clarity in that, they're going to learn so much by researching and gathering the data and the pros and cons and having the dialogue with you and seeing your decision-making process. It's going to help them be effective managers and leaders and whatever assignment and task.
Learn and grow.
It's part of development. Delegation is part of development. So don't throw people into level 4 and level 5 when you haven't developed them to a level 4 and level 5. But what this can do is clarify the language on your team so that people can like that intention of the delegation, they're going to be able to run full steam ahead. So remember, leaders, you can have control or you can have growth, but you can't have them both. A successful person finds the right place for himself, but a successful leader finds the right place for other leaders. So if you have to do it yourself, you're not the leader. You're losing. Leaders develop others. So what are we going to do? We got to delegate with clarity of the win and the outcomes. We have to set checkpoints, monitor the progress, because you can delegate the responsibility, but you can't abdicate accountability. And we're going to give clarity to the level of delegation. Now, my goal here at the Leadership Lifter here is to bring you great content to lift the lid of your leadership. A favor you can do for me is rate it, review it, share it, invite others to be a part of it. Remember, you guys, keep growing your leadership, because when the leaders grow, the people in the church around them grows as well.